Hello guys, this is Video Sack here again, and I of course just wanted to talk a bit about what it's like to live with anxiety. Of course, right now I'm not really doing so bad on the anxiety side of my life. In fact, I'm almost practically normal at the moment as far as anxiety goes. You know, because to some extent, I think pretty much everybody has anxiety. I would say at least most people. I would, at the very least, say that pretty much 80%, if not more, of people in America itself has some kind of issue with anxiety, if not a little more so. But just because you have anxiety, of course, doesn't mean that you have an anxiety disorder. You know, if you have a disorder of any sorts, of any disorder, then yeah, you might want to have a professional talk to a professional, possibly at least. That's if you don't already know enough about anxiety or any disorder for that matter. But anyway, so as far as what it's like to live with anxiety, because especially for years I lived with anxiety, especially in my teens, and it's something that can kind of come and go as far as your life goes. It just kind of depends on the situation, and it also kind of depends on the person. Like, so there are some people that have extreme anxiety disorders from when they are born. And for people like myself, it just kind of depends on the situation. But then there are those maybe the rare cases with people that they have almost no anxiety for whatever reason. I mean, that's kind of part of a thing of how could you not have anxiety of some sort? But, like I said, I think pretty much everybody has it to some extent, but, and what it's like to live with anxiety, of course, is just think of, like, let's say you're at a theme park. I think this is going to be a classic and good example of anxiety. And there's maybe at least one person in your group that's just like, oh my God, just looking at these rides, and they're just like, oh my God, look at that thing going up and down. Oh my God, look at that roller coaster. And they're thinking of themselves in that seat already. Now, when it comes to anxiety, it's not so much actually that you're afraid. That can be a part of it in certain cases, like the guy, like let's say the guy in the theme park. He maybe has some fear of what could happen when he goes on one of these rides, because God knows actually stuff in a rarer case does happen. Actually, it's not just the fact that they are afraid or people with anxiety are afraid. It's not just that. It is just the fact that you can't calm the fuck down. And I have, of course, gone through that experience where you are in a situation where you can't ever calm down, or even when you are taking a break, it's like you can't really calm down enough. It's like you need some extra extended time just to calm the fuck down and keep your mind on something else. You know what I mean? And yeah, again, I've been through that kind of situation many times in the past. It's less about being afraid and more about not being able to calm down, basically. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I actually made the video of don't take life so seriously, because the more things that you worry about, the more ridiculous bullshit things that you worry about throughout your life, whether it's somebody that you're trying to impress, a woman that you're trying to impress, or the way people think about you, kind of like my father worries about sometimes. And just everyday general stuff that is kind of ridiculous to sometimes worry about. That is exactly the reason why I made that video, because we are actually taught to worry about these things. And I think that it has created such an issue with anxiety. And I know a lot of the successful people at work that I've met who they always act like they're, part of the strong people. They're they feel that they are strong, but the reality is that some of these people are actually going through so much anxiety about how they're always worried about the way people at work think about them. They are always constantly worried about their productivity versus other people's productivity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, just because you're in a good situation, you have a good job, kind of like my father does, or you're kind of living, let's say, the typical American dream, does not mean that you don't have anxiety. I mean, anxiety is just, I mean, it's just everywhere. It's in all flocks of life, farmers, strippers, people in production, and so on and so forth, car manufacturers, etc., gamers. In fact, I think most gamers, like hardcore gamers, are trying to push away their feelings of anxiety, which is kind of happening with a lot of people in a sense. They're trying to push away their feelings so that they don't really experience the anxiety as much. And the same with our movies and television. When it comes to stuff like that, I think it's also another way that we're trying to push away our anxiety, because with the way that we're being taught to worry about all this ridiculous bullshit here in America, it was, I mean, even about sex. I've known people that they worry about having sex like almost on a daily basis, and they have all this anxiety over it, over nothing. But in our commercials and TV work and everything, and even within our families, we are taught to just worry the shit out of all this stuff, about just the stuff that doesn't really matter. And that's what it's like to live with anxiety. It's just the simple fact that you cannot relax ever, even up to years. I remember when I was a teenager, I could not relax because I had all of this bullshit that I had to worry about when I first moved out of being homeschooled and right back into a more regular school setting. I had all this shit that I needed to worry about, and I couldn't relax for years, which led to how I got into video game addiction, because that was at the time the only thing I had the time for one. And two, when I was playing my video games, I didn't have to worry about anything, you see? And that's kind of how a video game addiction can start. Because let's say if you die or you fail in a video game, all you have to do is just try again. And maybe the next time you'll beat that level or complete that objective in a video game. But when it comes to real life, you don't always get a second chance. And even if you get a second chance, it's not like you're going to get a third chance or a fourth chance. It's not like a video game. At best, I mean, you'll get like maybe a second chance and that's it in real life. And that's part of the reason why there's so much anxiety and why people are always talking to themselves about how, the strong thrive and the weak don't. I mean, in a sense, that is actually true, but the scientists that actually came up with that quote actually just meant that on a cellular level. I think that some of the people that talk like that are actually just being very selfish and greedy, which is why I tend to not like them and agree with them either. But anyway, so that's in a nutshell what it is like to live with anxiety. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.